Everybody, welcome to Art Party. Thank you so much for joining us here today. This is Gabe. He is one of our fabulous teaching artists with Snow City Arts.
Recording
and
in progress.
Your instructor for this evening. This is a recorded virtual space. Feel free to turn your cameras off if you are more comfortable with that, or leave them on so we can see your faces and your artwork. This art party will be about an hour long. Feel free to take any breaks that you may need, as many as you'd like. Gabe has provided you all with some written instructions that you should have. If you need to take a break, they will help you find your place. Also, if you want to peek ahead and see what's coming up, you can take a look at those. My name is Molly. I will be manning the chat, so if you have any questions, you can send those our way. We want to hear all of your questions, both technical, artistic, random, whatever you want to throw our way. We're very excited to get started. Wow. So I will hand this over to Gabe.
All right, hello everyone. It's very nice to see all of you. I just wanted to get us started by saying thank you for joining us. If any of you need to be off camera or anything like that and prefer to communicate by chat, I have it open. So ask away, communicate away if that works best for you. You're also welcome to speak if you'd like when we're kind of contributing. But let's go ahead and get started just by talking about comics. And then before we do that, let's make sure we have what we need. If you got a packet from us, awesome. If not, all you need is pencil and pen and some paper. So if you don't have that, please feel free to grab that now. And I'll sing a little song for you while you do that. I'm just kidding, I'm not a singer. Feel free to grab that stuff. If you're good, awesome. So, comics are a visual way of telling stories, and we're gonna try to make one today in an hour, which is really wild. It's gonna be a lot of teamwork, and we're gonna work together on stuff. And also, I just wanna make sure, can everyone hear me okay? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Thank you. Oh, that was beautiful. Everyone was like, whoosh. I love it. Excellent. So, before we get started, everyone's got their materials. I made a little Senor ruler. This is just a sheet of paper that's folded. This is to make a straight edge. If you want, you can also have a ruler. This is so we can make our comic book boxes. And then inside of our packets that I sent out two things. I sent out instructions that are going to talk about what we're going to do today, as well as how comic book panels work. And we'll talk about that as we start making. If everyone has everything, I see a few people move around. I'm going to take a quick second, let everyone do that, and then we'll get started. I have a really cool 2 artists that I want to show you that are really fun. They kind of do collaborative comics together. I kind of want to walk through that with you, show you a few pictures, and then we're going to go ahead and get started making. So emotionally prepare yourselves for a wild ride. We're going to be going nonstop. Time's going to fly. So awesome. We're going to go ahead and now start. I'm going to show you some artwork from 2 different artists that are pretty awesome. So we're going to pull that up now. Awesome. So these are 2 different artists that do the same story, which is pretty fun. On the left, his name is One, and that's actually his artist pseudonym. So no one actually knows his real name. He actually creates this whole comic. He's been making it for like 7 or 8 years, but he draws it with just little doodles. He does it with pencil, with colored marker, with crayons, but it's a story about a superhero that's so powerful that he gets bored. And he always like wins everything in one punch. And the story is called One Punch Man. You might have seen it on Netflix. But what's awesome about it is it started as really, really goofy doodles. So if you look on the right, that's the writer's original artwork. So I'll show you, let me see. The one on the right, that's the artist's original artwork. And then another artist who actually works with Marvel in Tokyo, as well as a bunch of other Japanese comics, said, hey, I love this story. I want to pick it up and I want to make it amazing. I want to show it to everyone. So they work together to kind of put this artwork together. So if you look, on the right is the actual webcomic. You can find this online right now. This is the actual webcomic that he published, the one on the right, the little doodles. And on the left, you see the actual dramatization of it. I'm going to pull aside. This is my favorite one. If you look on the left, That's the actual comic that's like world famous. It's like millions and millions of downloads and purchases for that little doodle of a centipede. And on the right is what I would like to call maybe an 80-hour ink drawing of that same monster centipede recreated by another artist. So basically, the whole purpose of this is to say, no matter how you draw or how you feel you draw, you can make amazing stories. And we are all of varying abilities and skills, and we're just going to make something awesome together. So what I kind of wanted to do, and I think I have, and this is one random one of that artist. He actually got to work for Into the Spider-Verse as well, if any of you have seen that movie. So pretty legitimate. So imagine if you had just crayon doodles and some guy said, hey, I want to make this artwork and make these awesome illustrations, which is pretty fun. So this one's my favorite because it's a little goofy old man and then drawn really nicely. And that's the picture in the middle is the both of them. And they're both really quiet, really nice guys. But cool. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to have the camera over my workstation. But I wanted to engage with y'all for a little bit. This is going to be where it's a little bit participation based. So I'm going to ask questions. And I'm going to need your help to kind of fulfill that. So we're going to go ahead and go to the overhead camera. And I have a list of categories that we need to pick out to make things happen. Let me see. Can everyone see that okay? The list on the left? Awesome. So we have the elements of story for who, what, when, where, and why. So first things first, I organized it into what, where, when, who, and why, because I think that's a little easier to decide. So we are going to go at random and just kind of go a little wild and just start throwing out objects and articles of clothing that we're going to input into our story. And I know this sounds spooky, but I'm here with you. So I also have a bunch of scrap pieces of paper. If we need to decide, if no one can decide or everyone's feeling a little shy, we can pick it out from here and kind of add it onto this list. So to get us started, can I get a food or an animal real quick? Can anyone give me that? And you can feel free to type it in the chat as well. If you do not want to verbalize it, you can do it that way too.
A kangaroo.
Kangaroo. Oh my goodness, I love it. Thank you so much.
Tostadas.
Oh, say that again?
Tostadas.
Oh my goodness. I love it.
Falcon.
What was that?
Falcon.
Pelican?
Falcon.
Falcon.
Falcon, thank you. Okay, and then one article of clothing. Can I get an article of clothing?
Underwear.
Underwear, excellent. I'm going to assume that's like Captain Underpants. Traditional. I love it.
Yeah.
And then let's do, bandana, penguin, Brussels sprouts. I love it. So I'm going to write those down. And y'all hold the energy for the next category. I want to make sure we have room for each of them. So Brussels sprouts, penguin, and bandana. I like that. Articles of clothing are going to go on our main character. All right, now I need location. So wait, I'm very glad I see the energy. I'm super excited. So I need maybe like, let's think of a small place, like a regular place. Like if it's a house, like a pizza parlor.
Think of a place.
Pizza.
No, a place.
Domino's.
Someone said Domino's, okay. Alrighty.
A backyard pool.
Ooh, so someone said Domino's, so I'm gonna add pool to that though.
Fish.
So, and then let's see, I think,
Telephone booth.
say that again?
Oh,
Telephone booth.
Telephone booth, okay. I think that'll work for our setting.
it's on.
So we're gonna keep moving. We're going super fast. Thank you for your patience. So now we're gonna go straight to our time period. So, and I'm gonna give examples first real quick, just in case. I'm talking, what century is this? Is this in the future? Is it in the past? Is it in before the Common Era? Is it all the way before the dinosaurs? When is this?
The Cold War.
The Cold War.
Okay.
Can you tell us what years those are for any of us that might not know what the Cold War is yet? Like myself, I only know of the Warm War.
1950s, 1960s.
1950s and 60s. Okay. We can definitely try that. Alrighty. And then,
Back to the Future.
ooh, I'm going to just add Back to the Future vibes to this and see what that does to the story. Awesome. I think that should be good for our time setting.
Yeah.
And now, let's talk about our main character. So now, what I want us to think about is our character's like personality and mood. So what I would love is, can someone tell me a mood?
His name is Peter.
Joyful.
Warrior.
Joyful. I like that. Thank you.
Amy.
And then let's think of a characteristic or a trait like that. So for me, I am. Oh, actually, no. Joyful can be a characteristic as well. So I like that one for positivity. Like SpongeBob can be joyful today, but he's also a joyful character. So I would say, let's talk about a mood. Like today, I am feeling what? Let's think of a mood. Can anyone give me a mood?
Crabby.
Oh, joyful and crabby? Okay, let's do it. Alrighty. And then I think those should work fine. I don't
Joyful?
think we need more. Oh, what'd you say?
Joyful.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you. And now we have a lot of elements going on. So really quick, I wanted to ask y'all, do you want, so we have a few animals. We have a falcon, we have a penguin, and we have a kangaroo. Because we have multiple animals, I'm okay with making one of them the main character. I'm okay with making them side characters, or I'm okay with combining them all together to make them one big character, and that's our main character.
That's not a question.
So, let's see. We can either make, I need a little bit of help with this, just in a little bit of thinking. Do we want to make a side character that's not an animal? Or do we want to make our character a combination of all these animals we have? What do you think?
I think we should do a side character.
Okay, so those will be side characters. So, then, what we're going to do is, this is where it gets interesting. Do we want our main character to be human?
No.
No? All right, so I'm gonna ask a favor then. Would y'all be down making our character, since our character's not human, would you be down to make our character a combination of all those weird animals? Would that be cool with y'all?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Cool, so then we're gonna draw it together really quickly. So we're gonna go back to the overhead camera and we're gonna sketch it out. This is not a guide, this is a guide. This is not to say you have to draw a character like this. We're just gonna kind of figure it out together. So I'm gonna do this with pencil. This is not for you guys to draw. This is just us visually thinking together. You are the brains, I am the fingies. So I want you to help me out. So what's the most important part of a falcon to you? And you can go ahead and say it. I'm just thinking.
Go ahead.
A wing.
The wings, okay. So I agree, I think wings are important. So let's do some wing shapes. What's the most important part of the kangaroo?
The pouch.
Oh, he said you don't have to draw this.
The pouch is important, I agree. So, all right, so we're starting with, we have wings and a pouch. And then now let's go to, now this is the hard part. I think the penguin, since the penguin has less defining features and we already gave wings, I think the head should be some kind of penguin. Does that work for y'all?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now, with penguins, I think of them as just like snowy pigeons. So I'm trying to think. Just like literally just a little beak on the top. We can also do the funky like emperor ones that have all the little like angry eyebrows, which are pretty fun. And then for legs, I think kangaroo might be a good fit since they bounce around a lot and they have kind of iconic legs. So I'm gonna give the legs. I'm doing very simple doodles first, just so we can keep moving. And then, do we want our creature to have a tail? Is that a thing? Are we feeling the tail?
Sure.
Cool, excellent. I like this energy. We're moving fast, this is good. The more time we make this, the more time we have to draw. Perfect. So now, let's talk about why. So we did the what, the where, the when, the who. Now let's talk about the why. That means the purpose of our story. So we are in Domino's, but that Domino's also has a pool and a telephone booth. And if we can fit some kind of mole cave in there, I saw that in the chat, so I'll add that. And it's also in the 1950s, which is, I think, before Domino's was invented. No, Domino's used to be Dominick's, and then it got called Domino's. It was around in the 1950s. But it's also some kind of time travel. So I'm going to connect time travel with the telephone booth, maybe. That might be kind of cool. Or we could time travel in the pool. That might be something fun. So what's the story? What do we think? And when I say that, I'm saying, actually, let's go back a little bit. What's the conflict? We have this character. We have this amazing wild creature, this mythical creature in the 1950s in a Domino's that has a pool and a possibly time-traveling telephone booth. Let's create a problem for that character. What's a problem? Let's start thinking of a few. We're going to list a few ideas and then we'll pick one or combine them like we did before.
How about the winged Penkanga, what I'm calling this creature.
I love
Their
it.
pizza is burnt.
Burnt pizza. I love it. So that's one idea. We might add that or we might use that entirely. I love that. So now let's think that is a good like 11-minute cartoon episode. I love that. The pizza's in danger. So I like that. Burnt pizza, peaches in danger. Now let's add a little bit of a grander scale to it. So mind you, if you're hungry and you're having a regular day and your pizza's burnt, your entire day is ruined. So that's a pretty grand scale. But let's think of even bigger than that in addition to this. Let's think of an additive to this. What's another issue or challenge that our winged Penkanga can overcome? Let's think. And if anyone can't decide, I will pull one out of the magic hat. And then we can go from there. Does anyone have? Ooh, doesn't fit in. I love that. So, doesn't fit in. So, now, really quick. So, we are going to go back. And then,
Eat a
John, may we
cupcake.
go back to the slideshow for a second, if that's okay? So, really quick, we just created a story, even if you don't know it yet. So I'm going to walk you through this little diagram that's called the roller coaster of plot. And this is how we break down any story. So the beginning, or the fancy word was exposition, is where we create the setting. So I'm going to take the first page of this project and I'm going to draw the setting. So I'm going to draw the dominoes in the pool and introduce our character. But then we're going to split up and each one of you is going to be in charge of a page of this story. I'm going to tell you the different parts of it, and then we'll go from there. So if you see, there is the enticing incident, which is basically the start of the conflict. So we have two conflicts. One is doesn't fit in, and one is the pizza's burning. So one of the two could happen. I think the bigger problem would be a good one to introduce, so maybe saying like that our winged Penkanga is nervous about fitting in and introducing that. And the climax would be probably the most interesting element, where it's like, maybe they're racing across the world or across time to get their pizza. And then concluding with the falling action where it's starting to get resolved. The problem's not gone yet, but it's slowly starting to get resolved. And then at the end is the full resolution, the happy ending or the cliffhanger. So that depends on us. So, and then we can go back to the overhead camera for a second, if that's okay. So, we're gonna break this down. And we're all going to do it in separate steps, so please do not worry. We're all going to be a team together, and I'm going to be right here with you the whole time. To set us up, one is page 1, introduction. So it's the intro. I'll take care of that one. So I'm just going to be drawing the scene, and I'll be talking a little bit about it as we make it. The next part is the enticing moment, that part where we start to meet the problem. So that's either when we find out that the pizza's burning, or maybe when our main character starts getting nervous. Now, when I'm delegating these out, does anyone have one that they want to pick out? If you don't, I'll just hand them off in different sets. So, and multiple people will do page 2, multiple people will do page 3, multiple will do page 4, and then we'll share it at the end and make it kind of a weird, giant collective comic book together. So, does anyone want to do the introduction to the conflict? The first element of drama. Does anyone want to try that one out?
I'll try it.
All right, Rosie. Does anyone else want to try the second one? If not, no worries. The next one is the climax. This is the dramatic bum, bum, bum. So when you see a story, when we see a movie, this is when Luke Skywalker meets Darth Vader and finds out he's his dad. This is the moment that everyone's like, oh no! Everyone's going wild in the movie theaters. That's when that happens. When Harry Potter meets Dr. Voldemort and all that stuff. I know he's not a doctor, I'm being silly. So the climax would be elements like, I'm trying not to write the story for us, but I'm already thinking of a way where maybe they're scared that they don't fit in, so they want to make a pizza for everyone, but then it burns and then stuff happens. So the climax would be kind of the big conflict moment. Who wants to try that one out? If no one wants to, that's okay. I will hand it off to someone if that's okay. And then 4 would be the happy ending. So who wants to have the scene?
I'll do number 3.
You want to try number
We're
3?
a little slow on the unmute.
Yeah.
Oh, no worries.
Um,
And then what's your name?
Johnny.
Johnny,
Or
thank you.
Amy Bossa. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Johnny, your name is Johnny.
No, thank you. Awesome, I appreciate it. Okay, so, and now I realize that I said I'll take the intro. Does anyone want to do the intro with me? Does anyone want to try that one instead? Okay, cool. Then you can have that one with me. So that means we're going to introduce the winged pankanga, which we can also, I think that could be their species or their name. Cool. And then Dr. iPad, what's your name? Can you unmute yourself? Is that okay?
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth, so nice to meet you. Thank you. I was very excited that someone was finally naming someone iPad, but that's okay. Elizabeth is a beautiful name as well, and I love it. Awesome. Cool. And then can anyone else, if anyone else hasn't responded, so we're going to keep it simple. We're going to just do intro, rising action where we're introduced to the problem, the big conflict, and then part 4 where it resolves. So if anyone hasn't responded yet, can anyone put it in the chat what part they want to do? So 1, 2, 3, or 4, and I'll go over it again. 1 is the introduction where we're introducing our setting and our characters. 2 is the rising action where we meet the conflict. And 3 is the climax. This is the big, it could be the scary scene, the dramatic scene, the explosive scene, or 4, the resolution, kind of the happy ending or the cliffhanger. So if you haven't decided yet, please feel free to put that in the chat for me. Right now, we don't have anyone doing the resolution yet. Thank you, Jess. Does anyone want to do 4? If you don't, that's okay. And we can.
I'll do number 4.
Are you sure? Okay, because I'll do the beginning one. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. I appreciate that. So we're going to do this together, but also separate. I'm going to have it right here, and I'm going to start brainstorming my idea. We're doing this together, but you're working on your own pages. So when we're thinking of a story, the easiest way to do this is think of what you want to share. So for me, I want to share where we're at and who's our character. So I need to share 2 things, and in comics, we use boxes. So if I want to share that we have a magical creature that is, let me see where I put it. Did I already eat it? No, it's over here. We have our magical creature. I want to introduce them, and I want to introduce the world that we're in. That's basic world building. The fancy word is exposition. So I'm going to share those things. That's 2 elements, so I know I can use 2 boxes or more. So I'm just going to do 2 boxes. Let's say if your happy ending is just one big dramatic scene where everyone's carrying our character saying hip hip hooray, then you only need 1 panel, and that's called the splash page, when it's the entire image, which is really cool. So we'll talk about, we'll kind of just get started. So think about how many elements you want to show. If you're in the climax and it's the big battle versus the pizza goblin, which we didn't introduce, but you can add that. Maybe it's a few scenes. Maybe it's the pizza goblin attacks. Then our character attacks back, and then our character wins. So that would be 3 elements, and that means 3 panels. If you're a little confused by what I mean by panels, I sent you a little sheet. It's printed out, and those are just the boxes that hold the information. It looks really nice, and it creates that image for a comic. But if you don't feel comfortable, like drawing boxes, you can literally just do lines in the page. That is more than okay, and many of comics do that. I like the clean squares because they make me feel a little bit neater. But yeah, I'm just going to use a sheet of paper to help me draw those clean boxes, and then we're going to go from there. So like I said, let's decide on what you want to do, and everyone's picked their element of story that they want, whether it's 1, 2, 3, or 4. Thank you, Nayeli. I'm just seeing that, and thank you, Sidnu.
Okay.
I appreciate it. So we are. Has anyone not picked theirs or have any questions? We
So
are
we
going,
have
and please feel
two
free to
of
type
us.
them. I'm so,
Yeah, we have two of us here. Can we do separate ones?
Oh my goodness, yes you can. Thank you.
Okay.
So, and I haven't really talked about it yet. What I'm most excited about is whatever we make here, if you guys share it with us, we can actually print it and make a collective comic with it. So basically we'll have the beginning, middles, and ends. Now, of course, since we have multiple sets of them, we'll see what works best together. But that's what we're thinking of doing. And then if people really like it, we can even keep making those. And I'm hoping to work with other students when we're working either on site or with anyone else we get to hang out with. We can keep this story going, yourselves included. And if we do everything right and everything works magically, we might even be able to send some out or like share them digitally, which is really cool. Thank you so much for asking that. Yeah, so I feel very comfortable to get started. So once again, just to repeat, you've picked your element of story. Now you're gonna say, what is my page gonna have in it? And count the elements, like how many things happen. So if I burn the pizza and I start crying, 2 things happen. That means I use 2 panels, at least. You can use more, like if you're doing like, and a lot of crying, you can use more panels of crying. But usually 1 panel to convey 1 amount of information. And then we also can use word bubbles in there, which are basically just circles connected to the image, which I'll show you how to use. So I'm gonna go and get back to the overhead camera. Please feel free to ask questions verbally or in the chat. Molly will be in the chat, just in case if I'm looking down and I'm all over my paper and I'm super distracted, Molly will be able to help answer questions. If you want something specific, feel free to ask it verbally. Or if you need something from me, Molly will give me a holler and say, hey, pay attention. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So, like I said, I'm going to do 2 panels. So, I got a regular sheet of paper and I just folded it up to make straight lines. So I'm gonna divide it, let's see. And I'm making sure everyone can see it okay, yeah, cool. I'm just gonna do a box down the middle. Now, when I'm doing this, nothing needs to be perfect. And number 1 rule when you're drawing, please draw lightly. Don't feel like you have to draw hard. I'm gonna try my best today not to use an eraser at all. That's how lightly I'm gonna draw so I can feel comfortable. Now, mind you, if you need an eraser, please use it. Because after we're gonna ink it. So usually when you draw a comic, you draw it all with your pencils, then you ink it, and then you erase it after. But feel free to use your eraser if you need to. I'm trying to be super cool and not use one and try to focus on telling my story, but please feel free to use your eraser. And then after we are done, even if it's not during our workshop together today, we're gonna ink our comics. Those are 2 separate jobs, which is pretty cool. The person that does pencils in a comic book is called the penciler, and the person that does inking is called the inker, or the colorist, because sometimes they just fill it in. And those are 3 separate jobs, the penciler, the inker, and the colorist. So we're doing kind of 3 jobs at once. So now I'm going to start my story, and I need my precious image. So I'm gonna leave this up here. If you forget elements to put in, feel free to put in anything you want. So we have tostadas, Brussels sprouts, bandanas. Maybe it's a bandana pizza. Oh, I'm gonna give a bandana to our character. I think I'm gonna do that. I don't know if I'm gonna put it around the neck or the head. Feel free to put it wherever you'd like. I think our character is unique enough, no matter what we do, they're gonna look pretty awesome. So, I think, I'm gonna give our scene. So I'm gonna do a horizon line. I'm gonna draw our dominoes, because I want them to kind of go there. I don't know. Do you think the dominoes should be, do you think the pool should be inside or outside the dominoes? What do you think?
Inside.
Inside, I like it. That's weird. I like it. So I'm gonna make the windows big so you can see the pool on the inside. So I'm literally gonna just do building with door and then big window. And then inside, for some weird reason, is a swimming pool and then a bunch of pizzas for, I think I'm gonna communicate that by having a bunch of boxes. And then of course it's saying Domino's on it. Alrighty. Now, I love Domino's, I love pizza, but let's make what I love in almost every story. Let's make our own weird brand version of Domino's. like Jajabos or like something. Let's make a weird name for a pizza place. What's a weird thing we could say? If not, I'm just gonna scramble up some letters. What's a weird alternate universe pizza place? What could it be called? Let's think. I'll take the first silly word.
What if it's Domino's
Pojabos.
spelled backwards?
Domino's backwards? Let me make sure that Domino's backwards isn't a weird phrase. Let me see.
That'd be son, I'm owed.
Son, I'm owed. Alrighty. Samanode. Samanode.
I'm gonna be doing that.
Awesome. So I have my Samanode, and then I'm going
Dad,
to
you don't
put-
have to whisper too much.
Oh, we don't have. Oh no! Wait, hold on.
And then I'm going to draw our character from the back. So I'm going to say, we now join our hero. I'm thinking. I don't want to introduce the conflict yet. So I'm going to introduce a pre-conflict. Why would you be scared about fitting in? Maybe our flying Pankanga is new in town. Maybe they are, I'm trying to think. I'm thinking of what would create a reason for them to want to make friends. Let's think. If no one has an idea, I'm probably going to go with that. Oh, and I forgot. I'm going to put the telephone booth out here. Because usually they're outside. Actually, I'm going to change that. I'm going to put the telephone booth in front, and he's just stepped out of it. Out of the time machine. So he is, and there's our problem. There's our first problem. He is in a new time, so he doesn't have any friends. And where he's from, the time where he's from, maybe he's from the future, and everything is a wild animal fusion. But now, he's the only one. He's the only one of his kind. So maybe that's why he's nervous. I think that is a feasible fit. If you want to change it up at all, feel free to. Let me know. I'd love to hear it. I think that makes sense. So that's what I'm going to go for. And my favorite part about this is even if you change the story up, as long as we focus on that 1, 2, 3, 4, the story is still going to make sense. Even if in the next page he's no longer a time traveler, it will still make sense because we're going to the same goal. So I have our parking lot of our Samados, Sanamods. Oh my goodness, my brain's not working. We have that, and then we have our character walking up to it. Please notice that I just did a little doodly sketch. I'm not going too crazy in it. I'm drawing a little hard so you can see it, but please don't feel like you have to draw hard. This is just so y'all can see it, and I'm gonna just go in with marker now after. But now I need to make the second scene. So we're introducing the scene, and now we're gonna introduce the character. And I want to do a close-up of our character's face and maybe some thoughts. And that's going to introduce word bubbles. So we're going to do a zoom in. So that means I'm going to have the character's face. He's got a little handkerchief, bandana, which I like. And then we have our thought bubbles. If you've seen comics before, you'll recognize these. If you don't, I'm going to do both a word bubble and a thought bubble. So a word bubble is a circle or oval that's pointed at our character's head with a little triangular curved point like that. A thought bubble is either a cloud shape or a circle shape. I'm going to do a cloud shape that's connected by like a little circle like that. So up here he's thinking, down here he's talking. And yeah, now what was our moods? We were joyful and crabby. So I'm thinking of how I can communicate that. I'm gonna try to figure out how to show that. So in a lot of cartoons you show tension in the face with wrinkles, so I'm gonna do a little bit of that. But I'm gonna give it a cute face while doing that. Alrighty, and I know I'm talking a lot while I'm doing this. Please feel free to get to your own pages. I'll be talking through this, and we'll kind of have a little bit of time to just get our work in. So we'll take a little time to do that. Right now it is 7:08. So we'll take a little bit of time just to sketch out our ideas, and then we'll take some time to share it, okay? So please do not feel like anything needs to be completed. We are getting our ideas together, and then we'll share a little bit of them. And at the very end, we might see if we can tell a little bit of the story and see what happens. Share a little bit of that, and then it will give time for y'all to send us photos of what you made. But we'll talk more about that later. So I'm gonna give my character cutesy little cheeks, but very angry eyebrows because we're crabby. And I think I'm gonna give it those, I think it's an emperor penguin, but I'm not sure if it is. I think there's another type of penguin that has those crazy eyebrows. I'm gonna make them real excited. They're gonna have like very shiny eyeballs, but they're gonna look angry. I'm trying to figure out joyful and crabby, and I think I figured it out. And the phrases are, I'm trying to think. I think I'm gonna do 2 word bubbles because I wanna make sure enough room for thoughts. Because I wanna communicate both joyful and crabby. So, joyful first. No, I think crabby first. Crabby first, because then the joyful will help it be fun. Crabby is, oh boy, here we go again. I think maybe our characters time traveled before, so they know the fear of trying to make new friends and fitting in different places. And I try my best to make it fit. If it doesn't fit, that's okay. Erase or draw the bubble bigger. Either one's fine. And now they're talking themselves up. It's okay. You've made friends before. And then they're going to say to themselves out loud, you got this. Or let's do this. All right, that's as fast as humanly possible that I could make my first page. This is not time for you guys to be done. Please don't feel that way. I'm just trying to set up something so you have kind of a groundwork to go off of. Once again, if it's different, if yours is in outer space, or if you brought a wizard in, that is okay. As long as our character is here and our settings here, you're gonna be more than fine. So let's go ahead and we're gonna take the next 10 minutes to just keep doodling and keep sketching. No one should be 100% done with anything yet. I'm not done yet. This is just us kind of getting comfortable and getting stuff working. Also, please feel free, now that I've kind of gotten the sketch out, I'm available. Does anyone have any questions that you want to either type in the chat or ask me verbally? Does anyone have any questions or need to walk through a part of the story or need help drawing anything? If not, great. But does anyone want any assistance with anything? Anyone stuck? Creative kangaroo penguin writer's block? Or is everyone good? If you're good, give me a thumbs up or stay silent. Awesome, cool. I'm very excited. Oh my goodness, I'm very excited. I think I'm gonna keep going on mine. So I'm gonna take the next 10 minutes to just start inking a little bit on mine. And then the last 10 minutes of this, we will kind of share a little bit, talk a little bit, see if anyone has anything that they're willing to share. And then I'll tell you about the next steps for this, okay? Awesome, great work everyone. I'm excited, I'm very eager. I was talking all day today about how I wanted to make a very funky character, and I could not have imagined making one as funky as this, so I'm very excited. Thank you for making something awesome with me. I'm very excited. If I say excited one more time, I'm fired. But I'm very stoked to hang out with you guys. Alrighty. The inking, if you got the kit, the inking pens I provided are brush tips. They are very funky to start, but they feel really nice and really different once you get used to them. And they're actually what the pros use. So when someone's drawing Wonder Woman, or Spider-Man, or the Ant-Man, or Wizard Dad, or whatever superhero they're doing, they use these brush pens to create these really fun lines. I have a specific drawing style. I draw very crusty, and everything I do, even if it's cute or pretty, looks very angry. That's kind of how I draw. Everyone has their own drawing style, which is one of my favorite things about doing this workshop. If you feel like something's not going right, that is okay. That is a state to be in. We are currently making something off the fly in less than an hour, and y'all are amazing. One of the coolest things that happens in comics is known as guest artists and guest writers. So sometimes some random person will be like, hey, will you come in and draw Spider-Man? And they're like, but I draw SpongeBob. And like, we don't care, give it a try. And different artists do different stories. So this actually happens all the time, where people will write one-off stories. I'm trying to think of what cartoon did it the most recently. The ones I remember are a little bit older. One was Adventure Time did that most recently. And then SpongeBob did it a bunch of times. I'm trying to think of other cartoons that have done it. Not too many cartoons, but all the comics do it. Where they just kind of share and kind of get inspired by each other's stories. And that's also where the fan fiction community comes in, where people are like, ooh, I love Spider-Man, and I love the Hulk, and I want to write a story about both of them like fighting crime together or owning a bakery together and writing all different kinds of things. So being loose and loosey-goosey with stuff helps you kind of create new elements. Alrighty. And then even though we only supplied pencil and markers, you're more than welcome to color this. The most successful coloring I've ever done on a comic have been either markers, watercolor, or taking a photo of it and doing it digitally. All those are really good options. When I was younger, I even tried to do an acrylic painting comic book. That was very hard. I don't recommend it unless you really like acrylic painting, but it is super messy and fun. Alrighty, and then I'm just double checking the chat. Everyone is in the zone, which gets me very excited and makes me super happy. If anyone has any questions or thoughts, please feel free to let me know. We have another 5 minutes or so before we start thinking about sharing and kind of closing this out and talking a little bit about it. The exciting part about this is once we part ways, I'm going to keep working on this and rendering it, coloring it, shading it, doing fun stuff with that. So do not worry, it does not need to be finished. But I think the story elements of it, what we can talk about, should definitely be a little bit shareable, if you feel comfortable. If you don't, that is more than okay. But I'd love to hear what anyone's come up with once we get to that point. So in another 5 minutes or so, we'll pause and share a little bit, if you're down.
What was the rising action again?
Oh, no worries. Rising action is kind of our introduction to conflict. So right now, thank you for the diagram. Wow. So rising action is the introduction to the conflict. So, and what's a movie you like?
Oh, any movie, I don't know.
No,
Okay.
for this story you want to know.
For this story, though, what is the climax for this story?
So I'm letting y'all decide a little bit of it, but for the climax of the story, it should be relative to our why. So around the burnt pizza or not fitting in. So either their fears are confirmed and they don't fit in and everyone hates our character and they have to learn how to cope, or maybe they rush to the pizza and find out that the oven's completely on fire and it's a super dramatic scene. And then we can resolve it. Like they can put out the fire, or maybe everyone in the village comes down like the Grinch and sings a song and helps save the pizza place. Any element at all. Thanks for asking. Yeah, that was a great question. Thanks for being brave and asking. Does anyone else have any questions, or is anyone stuck in a pickle of what to think about? If you are, that is more than fine. I am also in a pickle. I'm thinking about a few things of where the story is going to go after we resolve this issue. But yeah. If no one else has any questions, I'm going to keep doodling for a little bit longer, and then we'll share in a little bit, okay? Great job, guys. I'm excited. I'm stoked. Alrighty. Let's see how dark this is. Now the markers I sent are dual tip. One side is black, one side is gray. The gray is pretty dark. So be aware of that. It's like when it dries, it's a little bit lighter. So it's used to do like mild shadow tones or like darker shadow tones. So that would be like aggressive parts of the face, kind of how I'm doing with the eyes and stuff like that. I would use black for like super dark cavities, very dark backgrounds, and your lines. And then I would shade with the gray, which is pretty fun. Ooh, our character's name is, so our species is the winged penkenga. So I think I have it here, like, let me see if I can put it up there. There we go, that's exactly how it's spelled. Now, I think it's just as funny to name something its name being its species. So I think that works fine. If you want to give it another name, like it's Bob, the winged penga, or Jambungalo, I don't care, whatever you're feeling. It can even have a different name on different pages. That makes me happy too. Let me think. Yeah. Great questions, guys. Thank you so much for asking. I get super nervous around people. You wouldn't know it by how much I'm talking right now. That's actually how I deal with it. I just never shut up. So thanks for bearing with me, but you guys are doing awesome. Please feel free to ask any questions. Y'all are doing amazing. I'm very excited to see everyone's work. So we'll take maybe another minute or two, and then we'll start showing what we have. Even if you have literally a chocolate chip on a sheet of paper, that's okay. It's okay if you have very little. It's okay if you're done. Either way, I don't care. We're working together on this. It is not supposed to be done right now. Please don't feel any pressure to do that. I've been practicing this today and thinking about it a lot to try to how to figure out, do something very quickly. So please take comfort in the fact that it takes time to do this. Traditional mangakas, which are the Japanese comic book artists, take about a page a day, a full work day. So please, and they do that for a living and they're really good at it. They're better than I am. And they take a full day. So please don't feel like there is a rush. Please don't feel like you need to do anything in a certain amount of time. And we'll share what we have when we have the time. So please don't feel any pressure to do stuff. No matter what, I'm going to be happy because we hung out together and we made some stuff. And worst case scenario, you at least learned something weird or new. And worst case scenario, if you knew everything, you made a weird animal with me, which makes me very excited. So I'm going to add a little bit of the penguin floof. Oh, I forgot the wings. I got to do the wings in the background. I'm going to sketch that with pencil. I'm not going to do the text in ink yet because I think I'm going to try to clean that up for later on when we do a nice picture. Like if we try to print something out, I think I'll try to figure that out. And then if people kind of continue the story on, when we share this with other people and show them, maybe they'll continue the story. Maybe they'll introduce the winged penkengu's evil twin like sibling or something, or whatever it could be. Maybe they're secretly Batman. I don't know. We'll figure it out, which is pretty fun. Alrighty, y'all. Let's take one more minute, and then we're gonna kind of conclude and talk a little bit, okay? And this is the last kind of discreet opportunity to ask questions. Oh, what were the oh my gosh, underwear. I gotta give them underwear. Thank you so much, thank you so much. What were our clothing accessories? Bandana and underwear, thank you so much. So I've got the bandana around our neck. I'm gonna definitely give the underwear from the back. It's gonna look like a big diaper, but it'll work. So I added the undies. Thank you so much. Thanks, y'all. Thank you, Molly. That's a lot of stuff to keep track of, but literally, if any of you are like bored or you're thinking about writing your own story, this does not just work for comics. This is also how I make movies with students. This is how I make animations. This is how I make books and like poems. I write down what I'm thinking about and then I put it down. So feel free to use this as well. And I'm gonna ink these wings and then we're going to put our pencils down and share a little bit, okay? So last 30 seconds. No pressure though, please do your thing. go. Alrighty, I'm gonna go and ceremoniously put the cap on my pen, clickety click, and place it downward. Take a moment to do the same, y'all. And then all together, let's take a deep breath in, because we literally did like 85,000 hours of work in like 45 minutes. So let's everyone just wasn't that relaxing? So guys, y'all, you did so good. You stayed with me. You came up with random stuff all the time. I had to look at all these things I had to help y'all to figure out stuff. If you didn't, but y'all came prepared, so I'm stoked. So mine, as I said, I drew the Samanodes. I can't pronounce it. I gave the underwear, don't worry, and I have the time machine telephone booth, and then we have the action scene. And I think I'm gonna put some like action lines behind the face to go like, whoa, like super intense face thing. I think that's what I'm gonna add and what I'm gonna ink. Would anyone feel comfortable showing what they did? And if you don't have any drawings yet, that is okay. Does anyone want to tell me what they're thinking? Does anyone want to share a little bit?
Sure,
Yeah,
I will.
thank you.
Okay, so here, I can show you. So my first bubble says, this pizza place smells funky. Because
Nice.
not only, oh, it's blurring. Here, let me shut that off. Because not only do we have the pizza, the burning pizza, right? We also have the smell of the pool, which is probably, you know, the chlorine, which kind of smells funky,
Ooh. Oh my goodness,
mixing
I
with
love
the
that.
pizza smells. So then the next one, there's pizzas next to the pool, and he says, there's a pool? And then he's like, huh?
Oh my goodness.
And then that's as far as I got.
So, one, very lovely lines. I love it. And then
Thank you.
that's introduction right there. That's perfect. That's so good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Is anyone else interested? And once again, if you don't want to show, you don't have to. But does anyone else want to either show us the doodly do or tell us what you're thinking? Like I said, I spoke super fast and tried to like, so I was able to get some stuff down. But does anyone want to share what they've got so far, what they're thinking?
So I was thinking, so the pizza's gonna burn, and it's gonna set the Sanamad on fire.
Sabadabu.
So he's gonna travel back in time and make sure that the pizza doesn't burn, so that it doesn't set the place on fire.
And how? How's he going to travel back in time?
He's gonna go through the telephone booth.
But where's the telephone booth?
The telephone booth,
Is underwater.
under the pool.
Oh.
In the pool?
Yeah, under the pool.
Under the pool.
Yeah, because if it was in the pool, then you would drown.
Well, I thought, okay.
So,
Yeah.
Johnny, you're a genius. I love that. You've created a time paradox movie. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Do you have any? Have you just been thinking of the idea, or do you have any doodles to show?
Well, so far where I got is like he just realized that
Here,
his
you wanna
pizza's on fire, so he's like getting all crazy, like, oh my god, my pizza's on fire! It's gonna set the whole place on fire.
Oh, I love that, Johnny. Thank you so much for sharing. Would anyone else? We still have some time to share. Would anyone else like to show what they've got before we conclude? Awesome, cool. So then, really quick, we'll talk a little bit about. Oh, Dan, did you want to share?
I would love to share.
Oh my goodness,
I'm
let
in a
it
room
rip.
with several folks. I don't know if everybody's sharing, but I am. And so I have this panel, which is really an assist at the climax. It's just a big whoosh, but I feel like this could come in handy, like what we were just hearing about. This whoosh could come in handy. You know, this is for anybody who needs a whoosh. I just wanted to make a whoosh for everybody. And then I have this. This is maybe you can see. So I have the bird is looking and it says, then something strange. And we have the phone booth and the ripples of time, I think. But I think
Excellent.
that also could go with that time travel story we just heard. I feel like that could fit really well. And
Yeah.
then we see this, right? And it says, an echo in time, then emerging above. And then there's a crowd of people and they all gasp, you know? and then it says giant electric future underwear, and then the giant underwear starts causing trouble.
Oh boy, that's awesome. I love that. Alrighty, y'all.
I like how you used little words and like how you kind of had them pushed off like in the corner, and your drawings are very like simple.
They
Thank you.
work. Yeah. So, as you can see, we all are different brains. We've all lived separate lives. We haven't lived in a cabin together all our lives, and yet we created a story that already, like, my brain's starting to make noodles connecting to everyone else's brains. I'm really excited. That whoosh, Johnny, that could be our time travel sound automatopoeia. That could be so many things. So, really quick, can I get the overhead camera real quick? So, I've got this for y'all. So, please, I would love two things. So, two things. Once we are done today, or even now if you want, take a photo of what you just made and send it to programs@snowcityarts.org, or send it to this phone number. And then that's part one. Part two, I'm not done yet. I know you're not done yet. We're all taking our time. Once you've inked it or sketched it, or at least feel like a semi-good point to share it again, send it then. Because I'm going to gather them together, edit them together, and make a comic with that. And what I'd love to do is share this with other people so they can add to the page. So Molly's adding it in the chat. That's our email. Take a photo. You can text it with your phone and send it. Share it via email, or send it to 312-488-9389. And basically, the cool part about this is that's what makes it collaborative. We started it together. I would love to finish it together and share it with y'all. You did such an amazing job. I had such a fun time. And then also, for those of you that didn't want to share at this moment in time, that's more than fine. Take 50 years to work on it, so make it perfect however you want, and then send it in. I'd love to see it whenever you feel comfortable. There's no deadline for it, but the sooner the better, because then I can get it all together and then go from there. I don't think I'm gonna do color, so don't feel pressure to, but if you want to, you can. You don't have to though. Yeah, I'm just like blown away. You all did such an amazing job, and I had a blast and a hoot. And before we finish up today, I'm gonna hand it off to Dr. Molly. So.
I had fun with you too.
Thank you.
All right, great work, everybody. This was super exciting to see all of the work that you've made and hear about all your ideas. We are excited to see the work that you've made today and where it goes in the future. So again, please share your artwork with us. The info in the chat is there so that you can send it to Snow City. After this event, we'll be sending you a survey. We'd love to hear your feedback, your thoughts, feelings, great compliments about our lovely instructor, Gabe, so that we can continue making exciting events for you. We want to thank Gabe for hosting and teaching us today, and we want to thank John, who has been behind the camera making this all happen. Our next art party will be on July 21st at 6:30 p.m., and registration will be open now. I will be teaching that workshop. We will be working in clay. We will be combining portraiture and pattern making and some hand building techniques to make an individualized either self-portrait, portrait of someone else, portrait of your hero, whoever you'd like it to be. We will be providing kits again for our next art party to our early responders, so RSVP as soon as you can if you will be joining us. And thank you again. We hope to see you next time. And in the meantime, keep making art, keep being creative, keep having fun. Thank you.
Awesome. And then I'd like to leave a little bit of time before we say full on bye-bye if anyone has any lingering questions. So to the massive group, thank you. I love you. Good night. You did amazing. If anyone has any questions to finish off the night of any of the stuff we did today, feel free to hang on. I saw a few hands raised when we finished. If you're good to go, goodbye. You did amazing. Thank you for joining us. If anyone has any questions and wants to stick around to ask anything, please feel free to do so. Awesome. Bye.